4, we'll call it Lime Pond Riprap. Nothing else that I'm aware of for agenda additions from staff. Anything from anybody at council? Okay, then we'll go back up here and we'll look to approve the consent agenda. Unless somebody likes something pulled from the consent agenda for discussion. So otherwise, we're looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Let's see here. Mike Amborn is not here at this time, and he may or may not show up. He's tied up in another meeting. We're just going to take 6B2 and just kind of table that one towards the end here, just in case he does arrive. We'll go back all the way up here to 5A, the Park Board.
Just information, the park board has started meeting on a monthly basis to brainstorm ideas for the funding that has been received by the state towards recreation enhancements, that 1.5 million. At our last board meeting that we had, there was conversation that since we are viewing this as a specialty project and we're meeting now on a monthly basis outside of our normal park board meetings, it was felt that a few more voices should be brought to the table, someone representing, like, for example, the Memorial Master Park or Plan Committee, inviting someone from the Upper Sioux, Friends for the Upper Sioux State Park Group. Tom Shervany, for example, was asked if he would be willing to join. Mary Kelly is gonna be joining from the Memorial Park Master Plan Group, and just kind of reviewing who are some other voices that would be great to have at the table to help brainstorm some of these ideas. And the next meeting is planned here for July 23rd. One thing that has been pretty consistent with the park board group is after they brainstorm ideas, selecting the top favorable ideas and putting that out there to the community for thoughts, feedback, and possibly some sort of a community type vote, but that continues to still be in discussion.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or anything on the Park Board? Okay, then we'll go to 5B, Utilities Commission.
We did not have a quorum, however, reports are enclosed for review.
Yeah. Did have some good discussion, but yeah.
Yeah, we primarily met with Jade. The electrical department has been working on updating their 10-year capital plan, replacing aged infrastructure and reviewing that.
Okay. We're going to drop down here to 6B. We're going to take number 2, the CO2 contract.
So this is an annual contract that goes before council. CO2 is used again to control the pH content of the water. It's for the water plant. The last few years, we have been entering into a contract with American Welding. They are proposing the same for year 25 as was in 24 of $240 per ton. Chris did reach out to a company called Oxygen Service Company out of Olivia just to try to attempt to get another quote. And they were asking for $375 per ton. So we didn't bother to get a written quote from them. That was just verbal, since it was significantly higher. So after review, staff is recommending to enter into an agreement again with American Welding and Gas for the purchase of CO2.
What was maybe it was in here and I didn't catch it, but what was the price last year?
$240, there's no
$240.
price increase.
Okay. That's what I thought. It was $220, I think, before that, if I remember.
That's a win.
Yeah,
price
it was,
increase.
last year was $240, but I think previously it was like $220, they did an increase, but there's no increase for this year.
It was about 6-7 years ago, right before COVID or whatever. You know, you were buying it for $60 to $65, and now it hasn't went back down. But just a little bit I do know about the CO2 through work and stuff like that. If you can get somebody to give you an annual contract right now, you're pretty lucky. Because there's a lot of them that are reluctant to do that, and the price is still all over the place. So I think we're pretty fortunate when I seen that they were willing to continue on at the same rate, plus give a annual contract for a year. I think we're pretty fortunate there, but. Any other discussion on the CO2 contract? Okay, then we'd be looking for a resolution to enter into a annual contract with American Welding for $240 per ton.
So move that we do.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Baseball Association, the liquor license.
So the Baseball Association is required to get a full year license, which is a fee of $2,000. And because they are only in operation for 3 months, they are asking if council would be open to the idea of prorating that fee, which would equate to from, instead of $2,000 to be $500 if council's open to doing that.
My personal opinion, I guess I'm fine with it. They're only, operating 3 months, and probably out of that 3 months, I mean, it's pretty limited amount of events that they have down there and things, and that'd be my feelings on it. Up to everybody else.
Works for me.
Okay?
I wouldn't be opposed to it at all.
I think so, that sounds.
Okay. Well, anybody like to make a resolution so we can move forward one way or another on that? It sounds like, prorating that there's 3 months for $500 is out there for an idea if somebody like to make a motion.
So resolved.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of prorating the liquor license for the Baseball Association signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. All right, now we got an add-on here. Number 4, we're gonna call it the Lime Pond Rip Wrap.
Yeah, so this is gonna be kind of a picture aid here of our lime ponds. So I wanted to visit with council to see if we wanna pursue an opportunity.
Can I stop you?
Yeah,
first?
yeah, go ahead.
Does everybody understand where the Lime Pond's at? It's just right across the bridge on the north side there, right along the river. I guess is where our Lime Pond is at.
So a little bit of background, as you can see from the photo here, our lime ponds, we have the riverbank there, and as time has moved forward, we're starting to see erosion issues there. And it's not an immediate issue, but it has been on the list for staff of, we need to be open and mindful that if an opportunity comes up to re-riprap that area, that we should look into that. And I recently became aware, it's the same funding, it's federal EDA disaster relief funding. And for 2025, funding is, Chippewa County is selected to receive or qualify for that funding. It's actually the same pool of funding that we just were awarded that $250,000 towards our substation project. And after speaking with Kevin at the RDC, he said traditionally, if you have funding for a project, that you would not be able to qualify for more, but the EDA sounds like they've changed that. They are open to, well, if you have a project in motion, that's fine, go ahead and apply. And these funds are first come, first serve. They did increase the match up to 80% covered, so there would be a city match required for it. And to apply for the grant, what they require is a preliminary engineering report, which Mike can do. And in fact, actually, I've given him direction to just start looking into this. Because it is, again, first come, first serve funding. It's set aside, it's there. So staff wanted to bring up, this is opportunity for funding available. There's still some unsurety, for example, for FEMA funding. The FEMA funding that we received for the other riprap work we did, that funding now is no longer available. DNR might possibly have some funding, but I suspect it would not be an 80% match. It'd be more like a 50-50 if we decided to go that route. So it is an opportunity. Now, what does that mean in terms of cost? Back of the napkin estimate, probably gonna be $500,000. It's not going to be a cheap project.
You're
Roughly.
talking about total.
Total, yep, to rip wrap all of that. Some of the trees would be kept because the root system does help with the erosion control there, but there would be some tree removal. So that means we'd be looking at $100,000 plus some engineering with it. In terms of financing it, that would come from the water fund. We have not issued the bond yet for a match for our water main project, and with the increased rates that we have done over at the water plant, if you recall, in comparison of the bond payment, our goal is to build funds in that, the water fund, because right now we're about 200,000 in reserve. Now, if you add this to that and just pay for it via bond, because we could not fund that match out of reserves, we would be able to handle that service debt payment. It would not add a lot in comparison to what we're receiving for revenue. So that would be staff's recommendation of how to fund it. And again, I'm looking for what you guys think, your thoughts,
Can you do-
feelings on this.
Can you do a loan from the electrical fund?
I would not advise that for two reasons. One is we're already pulling $1 million reserve for our substation project, and we still have unknowns with our substation until we do our bids. And then also the hydro plant, granted, we have the grant funding for the $2 million, but that project's still in motion, and there could be some unknowns as part of that project we always plan for. Right now, we have about $5 million in reserves, but we're already gonna be pulling $1 million, possibly more, depending on how things go with our substation. So I'm a little hesitant to keep pulling from that fund, because we also have aged infrastructure that we're replacing at higher costs for wire and supplies. And then you gotta think of, our reserves and storm-related events, those type of things that happen. So I'm a little hesitant to do that. If that's what council wants to do, we certainly can. But I just wanna say that's some caution with that.
It's a very good idea though, Dan, and thinking outside the box like that, it's one, different
What's the reserve?
ways in the future, that we could be when things are right and stuff like that, there is
I would have,
some advantages to doing things like that at times.
I have to double check, but I wanna say it was 2.5 million for that fund is the minimum. And we're looking at taking $1 million out for sure for that substation, if not more. So that would be.
Roughly, might be a dumb question, but where would it be placed along between the pond and the river, or, I'm lost, where would we put that?
You put it on the bank.
On that,
Yeah,
Rip
in
wrap.
the water, the bank, kind of
Yeah.
like the riprap that we have along the river here, you
Yeah.
would extend it out into the river,
Okay.
into the bank.
so it's material, we could get the material from, Martin Marietta, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we'd use, yeah.
Yep, that's what we
It's
use.
kind of in that shaded area down there, Dwayne, and is the kind of the worst area, I think,
They work from the east side, don't they, when they haul out of there, right?
yeah, there is a road well,
Is there a road?
there is a road, you can travel on the west side of it too,
Do they use, or do they back the truck on that side and then go up? I don't
I think they can do it from both sides, yeah, yeah. I was down there last Sunday and kind of, Chris took me back through there and stuff and showed me, kind of how things are getting worse each year. And, we need to move this up on the priority bucket list because we could have a mess in a short
Yeah.
order and things. And I guess my thoughts with the whole thing is, go back to the way we did things, years, after going through the flood and different things. And we had, the engineering work done on different things, projects that we knew we had to be doing in the next few years. and stuff, and when you had that engineering work done and different pots of money like this come up and things, you know, that's when the DNR and FEMA and different things were always happy and things, I mean, not that they're not now, but to work with Granite, because we were always prepared, and somebody had some extra money, we had the engineering work done, we could do the darn project, and we got gifted a lot of money, because we were prepared. And I think this here's a project like that as well. We're getting to a point where, you know, in the next few years, we have to deal with this before somebody else tells us we have to deal with it and we don't have, you know, the funding available.
But if we put it off, it's probably gonna cost more because, two things, the price may go up, and the other thing is it's gonna take more material probably too.
Probably.
One thing, going back to Dan's idea here, one other option would be is we could technically still pull it from the electrical fund, but do an interfund loan and pay back
That's what I mean.
versus the interest. Okay, I apologize, I thought you meant
Okay.
just pull it
No.
from there. I'm
No,
sorry, I
loan.
misunderstood.
Yep, yep, yep.
So, to me,
You know, yeah.
I'd be open to a
we can-
loan, I just wanna
Yeah.
be a little
It would sit on their,
caution with that.
on their balance sheet as an asset, as a loan receivable, so.
Sure.
Yep.
With the erosion encroaching on the lime lagoons there, you know, because those are basically right up against the bridge, and then other side of the bridge is the dam. You know, to me, that seems like that putting in that riprap would also, you know, protect the bridge as well. So who owns that? Do we own that? Does the county own that? Does the state own that? You know,
The county's involved with that.
so-
Technically, yeah, that bridge is confusing, because I think technically it's like half owned by both counties, but Jeremy
Oh, I-
kinda, the engineer oversees it.
would we have to contact them and say, hey, we're gonna be, you know?
This would be a lot of contacting, because we would have to get the Corps involved, the DNR involved, I'm sure the county involved, they would need
So
to reach.
technically, they would be, as the owners of the bridge, they would be benefiting from any improvements we make in that area, correct?
I would argue that, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say we go knock on their door and go, why don't you help out with this? You know, benefits us both.
Bring your tin cup?
Yeah. I won't hold my breath, but we
No.
can certainly ask,
Yeah, they
at
don't-
least
Pretty
towards the
critical, that's a
match.
pretty critical dam for the county and, you know,
Yeah.
the city. Not dam, the bridge, I mean.
Yeah, we could certainly ask, to see if they would be willing to contribute towards that match.
Yeah,
Again,
if it's
I don't
anything-
know if I'll hold
All they
my
can say
breath,
is no, but
right,
Yeah, if it keeps washing and wash away on the east side of there where land hits underneath the bridge there, so.
that's how that dam in Mankato went out last year. It just went around the dam,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at the bend. That's,
Yep.
well, that'll be the point of failure on this someday in the future if we get something like that. but-
Yeah, all I can do is ask about that.
so there is a funding opportunity, does council have a desire to move forward with that preliminary engineering report and submit it? The next step too is if council's open to it, is Kevin and I would arrange a call with the, EDA office and share, this is what we're proposing to do, and, you know, are you open to us doing this, and would you award something like this before we waste our time with a
Yeah,
application and enter into a contract with the RDC to write the application and, you know, those efforts, but it sounds like it would qualify.
When you say 8% match, you mean like, so if we put in 100, they put in 400? Or-
Correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's not like we do 60%, they do 40%.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the opportunity that we
no,
may have in front of us right now.
Yeah, that's a-
$400,000 to
I
help
think,
us.
I think
Yeah.
if
We
that's
get
the
it.
case, that's a good
but
deal.
if we don't, we'll be paying more
Yeah,
because we'll lose some stuff. And
exactly.
I think we should, but, we could, you know, but it doesn't hurt to ask somebody else too if
Yeah.
somebody will, but chances are
Yeah.
not. You know, but, you need a,
So tonight, then, we're looking for a,
Looking for approval to have Mike continue to work on the preliminary engineering report and have that conversation with the EDA. And I would go as far as, since this is a very timely matter, again, it's first come, first serve. If council is so willing, if I share the contract with the RDC, would council be open for me, if there's no concerns when I send it out, for me to enter into that contract for them to write the grant even?
oh, yeah.
It depends how fast council's comfortable moving forward with this. applying for these funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna lose out, I mean, if we don't get a little bit aggressive here with our time frame and stuff, I mean, that money will be gone.
I'll say, just as well get moving on it.
Yeah.
I'm open to whatever council's comfortable with me moving forward at the pace everyone's comfortable with. I'm
Yeah.
happy to share any contracts, those type of things. I'm sure Mike is gonna wanna enter into a contract for engineering services, so, I mean, if council's okay with it, I'll move forward with caution, and share these things with council, these documents as they come up. Is everyone comfortable with that?
I'll be one of the people voting on that contract that they already see if you get it in the next week or so, so. If anything seems funny, I'll let you know, but.
I think doing interfund loan would be faster too than going through the bonding process on that too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I think,
And of course, we have to wait to see if we even get the funds first too,
Yeah.
before we
Yeah.
can even do that. There's no guarantee, but I
oh,
think we have a good chance.
if we ain't organized and we ain't got our ducks in a row and we ain't trying, you know, we got no chance.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd like to see us, you know, make a motion here tonight to, you know,
That's
To-
what- that's
to
what
give
give
we're-
Crystal
me the
to,
authority move
yeah.
forward.
move forward with this, with the engineering, with the talking communication, and whoever you gotta talk to, and the application to get started. Somebody like to make that motion, or,
Also move that we do so.
thank you,
I'll second.
thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good, good. Okay, now another interesting one we got down here, this ordinance, the Center Point franchise ordinance.
Yes, so just a little bit of information with that one. CenterPoint only serves the ethanol plant. The rest of the city is all natural gas, which we have a franchise with them. So this is just for the ethanol plant, because they're in city limits, we have the franchise. So the first ordinance is setting up the franchise in general to allow a franchise, and then the second ordinance is establishing the fee specifically. We do work with a special attorney out of Colorado that works specifically with these type of agreements. And he stated the agreement that we do have with him is really good. It actually came between both parties. The only recommended change would be from monthly payments to receive quarterly payments. And it would continue at the same 5% of revenue received, which is very standard, and our attorney said you're not gonna get more. That's just the national standard of what these franchise pay. It would be for an additional 20 years as well in terms of, the length of time here for this agreement. So I'm looking for council feedback, or if everyone's comfortable to move forward with the first reading for both this evening.
20 years, is that pretty standard as well?
That
or-
is standard, yeah.
About the max you can go.
Yep, and that's typically what they request. I mean, council can always do less, but that's typically what we see. That's what we did with Great Plains too, so.
Yeah.
Kind of a good deal, win-win for the city, really.
Yeah.
This
it's-
is
Yep,
fortunate deal.
You need a motion to approve the first reading?
We do, that's what we'd be looking for here,
So move.
okay? In a second, thank you. Any other discussion on the first reading of the ordinance? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Now we have CenterPoint franchise, the fee, the first reading of the fee for the ordinance. And you did just explain the fee and how that worked and what it is and everything.
5%.
So if anybody else has any other discussion or anything, questions on the fee portion of it, unless otherwise we'd be looking for a resolution to approve the first reading of the franchise fee ordinance.
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on the fee? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, great. We hearing anything from Mike, or are we gonna just,
I did, he said he's just wrapping up, but it's gonna take him
Ah.
20 minutes to get here, so
Yeah,
I just told him, don't worry about
Yep.
it, and we'll move on.
okay, so we can jump back up there and we can talk about ourselves then and things, okay.
I can share.
We're gonna jump back up to 6B1. It's the County Road 5 Trail. It's right up here as you cross and
There's a
go up.
handout, and I included the visual aid
Yeah.
here again of the trail, since it's
Yeah.
been a while since we've talked about this.
And actually, you had the bids were opened up today at about 11 o'clock.
Yes, and apologies too a little bit for that. So originally, we were planning for bids last week, but due to a state requirement tied with this funding, we had to add days onto the bid, so it ended up falling on the same day as a council meeting. So we apologize about that, because normally we like to have this in the packet ahead of time. But we did have the bid opening today. The lowest is from Action Company out of Marshall. Historically, we have not worked with them before. However, there's no issues that we're aware of. Mike would recommend that if council were to approve this, he would recommend it on two things. One, on getting some references, just doing some kind of background check on these guys, as well as going over all the bid documents to make sure they have everything, their performance bond and everything's in line that it should be as well. So contingent upon those two things. So a little bit of background on this. We did apply for a Transportation Alternatives Program grant, and that is the grant we apply for, but you actually get the funding 4 years later. So it would be within this calendar years when we actually receive the fundings for that grant that was awarded. And we were awarded $189,840. And part of that, of course, the city had a match, in engineering, and you take the lowest bid and you take that all into consideration. And it comes to a total of $287,005. So budget-wise, we have budgeted actually $305,000 for this project. So it is in total what we comparison to budget under what we have budgeted. So the funds are there if council is comfortable moving forward and awarding the bid on those two, contingent on those two things and continuing to move forward with this project.
So tonight, then, you're stating that we could go ahead and award the bid to the low bidder, contingent on what, that Mike's,
Contingent on reference checks and
Yeah.
that their documents that they submitted for the bid opening are
Okay.
all in check, that they have their insurance, their performance bond, and
Okay.
everything makes sense.
all right. Well, it's been talked about for a long time.
And keep in mind, just as a refresher, this is one of two TAP grants that we received. Our second grant will be in 2027, and that would be to fund and redo the trail that is already there, going the opposite direction.
I believe that Action Company is part of Action Sports.
It is.
It is, it's family tie.
It's the grandson of it, yep. Yep. He's been around for, I guess,
Secretary of State says 2010.
it is, I was gonna say 12, 13 years or so, and he slowly continued to branch out into different things. He started out in the commercial landscaping end of it, and he's just gotten, bigger equipment as he's went on, and he's done different projects around, but,
Sure.
One of my questions I had, Crystal, is looking at the map here or whatever, at the County Road intersection up there, I don't know when they plan to start this or whatever possibly, but I think it's gonna be August sometime before that guy comes back to bore the line under the road, isn't it? And that's, part of this
Have to
trail
make sure
goes over the top of it, and I'd be kind of, the timing there, and then again, the compaction of that whole corner. It's been ripped up once already, and it's gonna get ripped up again and bored. And then we're gonna put a trail on top of it, you know, yet this year possibly. I just don't want it to sink or nothing, you know, in a year's time or whatever, you know?
No,
They were kind of pushing it that way, but, you know, we can look at that as we go too, but that corner's taking a beating this year and we ain't done with it yet.
have to make sure the stars align.
You know, I mean, we've seen it happen too many times, you know, and
Good point.
so, but deal with that as it comes across. So anyways, what tonight then, looking for, that resolution, if anybody would care to offer it,
So move.
okay? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Personnel,
I believe all council is aware at this point, Brandon has accepted a position with the Fairmont PD, to move closer to his wife's family. So with that, looking for council blessing, formal declaring the position as vacant, and then move forward with advertising.
yeah, you just need the consensus on that, don't you?
Correct.
Yeah. Anybody got a problem or an issue or want to talk about advertising or hiring for a police officer? Okay, all good.
Okay, I'll move forward.
The only other thing on personnel, I mean, just to reiterate what you've talked about, Jeff Van Overbeck, our city mechanic, will be retiring at the end of July.
August 1st
Or,
is his
yeah,
last day.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, if anybody sees him, you know, he's done a great job. He's been with us, I believe it's 18 years.
Yep.
You know, give him a thanks or whatever. It's been great, you know. We've lost a lot of years' experience in that city street department and different, you know, departments. This last 16 months has been a little tough on us, you
Lots of
know, and,
retirements.
yeah, a lot of long-term retirees. So kind of proud of that, but it's tough, so. Anything else to come before the council?
Motion to adjourn.
There we go.